The Cyclone Gabrielle survivor, who was swept 2 kilometres by floodwaters, is angry that a year later there have been no changes to flood warning systems.
Gareth Jones held on to his friend Susan Cashopoli after the house they were in was engulfed, but eventually he lost his grip and Susan drowned. Alexa Cook reports.
A year ago, this quarry was a raging torrent. Gareth Jones was desperately holding on to his friend, but he was pulled under and she was ripped from his grasp. Her body was found later that day.
Sorry.
Take your time.
This anger inside me, because this was so preventable. You know, hearing that the authorities knew at 5:30 that Esk Valley was pretty doomed. You know, there were no alarms raised. You know, if I'd have known that, I'd have evacuated.
Gareth and Susan were house-sitting in Eskdale. When the valley flooded, they crawled into the ceiling cavity and called emergency services, pleading for help.
We have to hang up, we have to say our goodbyes. And within seconds of finishing that call, the house broke up. I'd held on to Sue with my right arm. I had her in the life-saving position. And we hit the water, and I told her, whatever you do, do not let go.
The satellite map from before the cyclone shows where the house was on State Highway 5 and the quarry they were swept to, 2 kilometres away.
Got entangled in the trees, and that's when I was pulled underwater, and that's when I had to let go. I had to let go of Sue because she would have been dragged under the water with me. And when I eventually freed my foot, I came up and I just couldn't see her anywhere. I honestly don't know how I survived it. You know, at one point, you know, I was actually thinking, when am I going to die? This is so cruel.
He made it onto a stony bank before passing out. When the river eventually receded, he crawled across the silt and was found by Stan Evans.
I don't know what he got hooked on, but it was like this chunk of meat about 20 mil wide that was stripped right off the bottom of his foot.
The foot became infected and Gareth's big toe had to be amputated. He's just grateful to be alive and now has a tattoo covering the scars Susan left on his arm from trying to hold on.
It's remembering what a lovely person she was.
What's happened since? Have you been part of the inquiries into the emergency response?
They obviously don't value any input I have, which is dumbfounding really, considering we were in the heart of it. And yeah, that fuels the anger because it's 12 months on. Nothing's changed. If we had a cyclone in 2 weeks' time, what would we do differently? Because I don't think there's any changes.
To try and prevent deaths like Susan's, authorities have red-zoned hundreds of homes into a Category 3, saying the risk to life is intolerable. But residents argue that if there was a proper flood warning system, there would be no risk.
The only intolerable risk to life there is that we didn't get evacuated. If we'd been evacuated, no one would have died. So what has happened is that the Hawke's Bay Regional Council has used intolerable risk to life to categorise our communities, and it's their own failings that they've used.
I wouldn't want to see any big changes to that categorisation. It's in place. The locals have agreed to it. The local council have agreed to it. Let's just get it moving.
Although dozens of locals we've spoken to don't agree and are calling on civil defence to step up.
Even if it's a false alarm and you're evacuated for no reason, at least you're still alive.
Because people are irreplaceable.
Alexa joins us now. Kia ora, Alexa. Plenty of memorial events tomorrow, but not everyone affected by the cyclone will be going.
That's right, Mike. For many, it's just such a big emotional day that they actually don't want to go to these public events and have told me that they would rather have a private moment to themselves. And they're sort of torn over what to do about tomorrow because part of them wants to mark the day, but the other part of them just wants to get this anniversary behind them. Now, for people that do want to go to public events, there are many across the region and all those details are on the council's website. And there will be a minute's silence at midday tomorrow as people reflect and remember on what is such a huge, tough year that it's been for so many.
Alexa, tēnā koe.